We're a little bit trigger happy with pressing this button whenever a jumbo jet flies over. But that's kind of the point of this, is that there's no pretense. I'm just messy. We're just messy here. So humour kind of got me into a bit of trouble, it seems. And then whenever I do something that I'm acting, I'm pretending. Well, I'm not pretending, but when I'm acting, you see, then obviously I'm acting. But that's when people take me the most seriously. So that's something that's been my entire life, which is also one reason why I never really got into it too much, because I don't really know. You know, there's been some blockage, and it really does come down to this thing about being allowed to be yourself. It's about, are you allowed to be yourself as a human being? As the person that you are you allowed to be yourself? And so really that's one of the major reasons why I'm making this, and why I'm doing it just as, you know, this person that has had to go a long way to find a place that is okay to be in this world. To sort of find a groove that is okay to be in, you know, that's not really upsetting too many people. But it's like my job is to upset people in a lot of ways, you know. Like, I'm an acupuncturist. I'm a therapist that sticks sharp metal needles into the most sensitive, vulnerable points of people's being, of their nervous system, which connects their spirit to their body, their animating force. I've got to stir things up. That's what I do. And that's why I'm doing this recording here under these trees that are moving, because the whole thing is that there's this metamorphosis and this change that is occurring all the time. You know, one of the things that John said to me the first night that I met him, which really got my attention, is one of the first things that he said to me. We hadn't been talking for very long. We'd only been talking for a few minutes. And then he said, well, I get out of bed every day to find out who I am. And I pricked up my ears to that, you know, like I was like, oh, that's a very interesting thing to say, especially a 72-year-old man who I've just met here in this place here, you know. Just so at that point he hadn't really built the film set or anything like that. He was just starting to work on the preliminary planning of the film set that he's now got. Like, now you rock up there and go, oh, this is a film set, wow, cool, it's looking good. Back then there was no reason to consider that there might be a film. There's just this old guy wearing a pair of overalls, pottering around with a few really random things. But the stuff that he started saying, for me, most certainly was not random. It was incredibly profound and incredibly pertinent for the timing of my experience, what was going on for my life as me as a person, what I think about, you know, the things that I think about in life. And I don't think there's that many people that do really think about it. And there's certainly not many people that think about it in this context the way that John and Jackie think about things. You know, they're very profound thinkers. And it's like all the greatest art pieces, they, even the ones that don't really seem like they're good at art to me, then there's something about them that it's the profoundness, the profound thinkers. It could just simply be a black stripe, you know. I could do that. I feel like I could do that now because I'm in a bit of a profound state. I could pick up a paintbrush with some black paint on it and just put a black stripe down anything. And then that would be art that could sit for 450 years because it's profound. That's the kind of feeling these guys conjure up, that, you know, I might actually, by the end of my life, reach that kind of state. And that's another thing, is John sort of talks about how he's 72 and he's got another 20 years of creating this stuff and getting better and better at creating, becoming sharper and more coherent. It's not like he's losing his faculties. He's becoming sharper and better. And he's like, man, Jackie is so sharp. When it comes to like the strictness, like that is ultra sharp. I mean, I trained under Grandmaster Sifu Henry Su, who is exceptionally sharp. And under his highest students, Sifu Greg Barry and Sifu Steve Locke, and then under all his other master level students, exceptionally sharp. Very sharp. And Jackie's very sharp. But they're incredibly profound. You know, when you get to that kind of level of accomplishment and that kind of level of mastery, then you are by default profound in everything that you do, in everything that you say, in every look that you give to anything. And anything you cast your attention to, you are by default deeply profound. And composed. There's a certain composure that comes with that discipline. And so I've kind of been lacking it. I actually just don't have the money to walk, 400 meters around the corner and train Kung Fu. I've just put myself in a particular situation, stretching too far with 3 different businesses, and then a fire, and then a few breakdowns just dropped me in industries that were not my industry, that I was sort of just getting into. I knew them, I knew the industries, but that's not what my chosen vocation was. So, my chosen vocation is massage and acupuncture, and I need to put my hands on people and heal them. That's what heals me. That's what gives me energy. And I suppose there's something, like with the social thing as well, interacting with people. Like I've always been a kind of person that can walk into a room and feel that something really heavy is in the room and just start being silly, just for the sake of silliness, because that's an avenue. It's like there's this stream or a current that runs through, this energy current that one can tap into and just start playing around and start being silly, particularly if there are children in the room, and just break up that heavy atmosphere and that heavy mood, the heavy feeling. And I've always been able to do that. Even if there's no children, it doesn't matter. I can just start being silly and stupid, and I can have the toughest, fucking hardest criminal gangsters, breaking up into fucking laughter and cacking themselves, and forgetting that they were so fucking heavy and serious. It's that's something I've always had. So that's a big thing about what I was saying before about the humor and the comedy. Get me in trouble. I still do some of that kind of stuff, and I don't give a fuck if people get upset. The damage was done a few years ago. Anyway, back in like 2018, 19, it seems to be. So, but people they stay friends with me on that phone book platform thing, because I don't know why, but they don't delete me. So there's still some degree of connection. You see, that's the funny thing with it all. A lot of it, I do a lot of stuff like this. I use these multimedia supercomputer devices a lot to reach out to people that are evidently isolated or isolating themselves, and I put out a lot of stuff. And just at the very fundamental level of why would I do this kind of stuff, it's because if I was to die today, then people were to find out that I was dead, then they can find that they're sitting on these social media servers forever, kind of thing, that they're sitting there. They can go and listen to the audios that I made them, which is just telling them some jokes or sharing something lighthearted, or just reaching out to them and playing some music. Or there's some videos like this. Normally if there's videos like this, then they're wacky and they're funny and crazy, and there's something going on, and there's some other message underneath it about community and love and connection, and don't lose hope, and remember to forget yourself, kind of thing. And that I'm here. And that's about all we can do. So, I have enough people in my life that are enchanted by me these days, that accept me for being the person that I am, and appreciate me for being the person that I am. So, I can be low. Like yesterday I was actually feeling quite low, doing a lot of stuff, shadow side, and feeling quite good, but then last couple of days I felt quite low, but I actually had some horrific, disturbing thoughts as part of my shadow side, knowing myself and just going, okay, not pretending that's not there. I'm not going to be afraid of it. I'm just going to be real about that. But then I ended up seeing a friend, and there was actually a bit of heaviness. And so I just, whatever it was. So I very deliberately turned it around into a joke, and I had to work at it, I had to work at it. Same as I was feeling, I've been doing a lot with music, and then it kind of just felt like I lost it. So if I was to play music for the last 2 days, it's like I would have really had to work at it. I wasn't really feeling it. I would have had to work at it. And I could have done that. And the trick is to then be able to get that across, because you've got to work at it and do the work and get it done, but it just seem like you're just being it and you're playing it because that's what you are, and not having to work at it because you're a master at it, kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to get across. I didn't think of Lauryn Hill doing this solo acoustic concert, and I mean, she was a master. She played guitar and sang so well that she was obviously working very hard at it, but she had worked so hard at it already so many times in the past that she was so perfect at it that hard work was just making the guitar ring to balance the power of her voice and her presence and personality. But she wasn't putting any effort into being present or working hard or playing guitar so well, or singing so well. And that's really the thing, So what this is about now is developing this discipline and cultivating oneself whilst letting oneself fall apart, or actively pulling oneself apart. And that's not what John and Jackie do. They actually do the opposite of that. That's what I do. So I go to training and I get put together. I get put together and 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 put together, and they add all this stuff on top. They don't pull me apart. They put me together more and more and more and more and more, and they help me put myself together. And they give me these exercises to do, which is very serious work. Play is very serious, and it's very sincere and authentic. You have to work very, very hard, and then you have something. And so paradoxically, it seems that I then go and spend the week pulling myself apart to have a good look at myself, to then go and arrive at training as someone who then walks into the training hall and very intentionally clears my mind and clears myself of everything that I might know or be. And then I can... Sorry, I've got hands out here, you can't see, doing stuff, you see, that's getting my expression across here, how much presence I have, and suddenly zoom out. So that's really what it is. It's just clearing and then going, right, who am I now? Well, it's not even that, there's no who am I, you see, it's just becoming so clear, and then And I submit myself to the training. I surrender myself to the training. And I actually get built up into something that's quite monumental. And so then I spend the time being that. I carry that, but I also, at least for now, I'm very actively pulling myself apart and having a good look at myself. And that gives this certain power. And so, I've got this other character. The only other character I've got up here on YouTube is Bush Australian Jim. But I did a few other things. And then I created this absolute masterpiece that I deleted. And I know it's a masterpiece because I got this terrible feeling in my stomach once I deleted it. No! I lost it. And I won't ever do that again, I've got a lot more confidence now. I won't ever do that kind of stuff again. Because it's askew and it's out there and it's quirky, and that's the point of it. Because there's these underlying messages with everything that I do. And that particular 28-minute way out there masterpiece of just askew, what the hell is this? It wasn't Bush Australian Jim. It might have been Bush Australian Jim's cousin or another bloke who lived down the road from Bush Australian Jim or something like that. But it was intentionally what it was intended to be, perfectly. But then I didn't upload it because I just thought, that is just so out there. But it wasn't out there in any particular way that was too much or anything. It was just my own, it's just, I don't know why I had such filters in my mind about it. So anyway, I deleted it and I needed to have the space, so it was permanently delete. And as soon as I deleted it, then I felt it in my stomach. And I was like, no! And that really told me something. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I met John and Jackie, and I was already clear that that was a masterpiece. So that had started me getting a lot more into the Bush Australian Gym and getting some content up there and recording it and not deleting the stuff that I'd recorded. However, the first one that I did was how to make a bone tomahawk, and that was just off the top of my head. And I still think that was probably the best one that I ever did. And so I've spent a few occasions, I've come back to just looking back at what I've done and gone, this bone tomahawk one was the best one I ever did. And I've been consciously trying to undo myself whilst I'm consciously creating myself. I just make it up off the top of my head. I do not think about what I'm like. Sometimes I think for about 30 seconds of an idea, and then I get to a point like, yes, 1, 2, 3, okay, there's enough momentum with that, cool, and I just pull the phone out and start recording. So I might have just 3 or 4 sentences at most is what I've thought, and then I say either them word for word or something along those lines, and I lead into where I'm going with it, and I just make it up from that point. And Bush Australian Jim is a lot more sensitive and a lot more. It's like this person here is talking to you now. Sometimes he gets asked if he's autistic, you see, and that turns out because he's got an unaspected Venus in his astrological birth chart. His Venus is kind of out there, somewhere out there, and it's not in relation to anything else. As in, it's not in connection. It's not out there with something else, so it's not in communication with something else to be in reference to the rest of the universe, or the way I interact with the world kind of thing. So I don't read between the lines. Or I do, but I choose not to kind of thing. I can see it, but I choose not to waste my time reading between the lines if people aren't fucking saying something. They got the ability to say it. They managed to get past grade 3, so I know they got the ability to say it. But Bush Australian Jim, he sort of has been developing this thing in recent months. He hasn't been doing it so much lately. Maybe he should be doing it a lot more than what he has been. But I actually got stuck in character for 9 days as Bush Australian Jim. This is kind of what happens in creative processes as well. And so I actually got stuck in character with Bush Australian Jim, and suddenly, like, it was just, couldn't help but notice, like, everybody seemed to like me. Everyone's putting up with me. It's just, but I'm so obviously not this person here. I'm being to Bush Australian Jim. But this is the funny thing. Like, it's just, I don't understand it. But anyway, I got stuck in character, and then I got snapped out of character by something serious, I think. I really come to understand a lot of things like that. And so then in the following weeks, that wasn't that long ago, that was before I met John and Jackie. And then so I sort of have this ability, they can be talking to you and see that things aren't really going so well as a planning. So things might not be going so well in the conversation because people are using soft language and not actually saying what they want to say. So I just keep providing solutions for them. Like, just say, like, and that's a literal thing, whether I'm autistic or not. It's a very literal thing. Like, if you give me all these reasons why you can't do something, but it sounds like you want to do it, but you give me all these reasons why you can't do it, well, I'll give you 5 solutions for every reason why you can't do it. But then Bush Australian Jim can just kick in just like that. Or it can even be like halfway through a sentence. So I'm speaking like this person as a sentence, and Bush Australian Jim kicks in halfway through the sentence and goes, look, I'm starting to sense, because I'm a bit of a snag, you see. I'm a sensitive new age guy, so my sensitivities are starting to show me that I'm feeling it, around about the cockles, somewhere beneath the cockles of my heart, or, around about that lower area, around in the abdominal area, where all kinds of metabolic processes and digestive functions occur. Around about that area, I'm feeling that what you just said isn't really congruent with how you're feeling, and what you've just said has actually caused you a lot of stress about what you've just signed up for. And I don't really want you to be stressed in that situation like that, and I don't want to be in a situation where I'm vulnerable to being let down or the plans change because you can't do what you said you're going to do. Well, I'm feeling now that you're stressed. So what we might do is just ease back right now, and I'll go from the soft language of what you said is basically you really don't want to do it. And then people are like, oh, right, yeah. And then so I'll go straight on to, so Bush Australian Jim, you see, he's actually proven to be a lot more of an endearing character. And people seem to find him a lot more palatable than the other bloke who was just talking to. And then people are totally disarmed. And in that moment, then their posture changes. And, oh, is that so? Is it? Oh, right. And so it's a very interesting thing to watch. But that comes with, for me, this person is talking to you, and why I'm doing this documenting thing is because, especially being trained, like I'm one of the most qualified negotiators that you can find in this country. I'm trained. And I'm trained in all kinds of other stuff like this, I'm really trained in people. I've spent a lot of time training formally in people and in everything that people are as they are in a moment, like as they're living, and what makes them tick. And so that's a very dangerous thing, because it by default puts me into a position in this world of thinking that I know something about something, and that is a very dangerous place to be. And I spend my life trying to undo that. But the thing is, I do know stuff, we all know stuff, we're all educated. So I do a lot of stuff with dogs. I breed and train and raise these dogs for therapy dogs, specifically for soldiers, but they can go for anyone. And so I spend my time around dogs and watching their behaviors all the time, constantly. And I don't have a clue what they're doing or what they're saying or what they're thinking, what they're feeling most of the time. I can basically get on feeling a lot of the time. And it's the same for people, like I do a lot of really full-on drug rehab work and trauma work that nobody else can understand how I do it or what I do or why I do it. Because I just have changed everything about, I do like a lot of what I'm trained to do, but then I just sort of make it up as I go because I reach people where they're at. And so that's where I come to a thing of going, I really know something, but then I just clear my mind of all of this stuff, and then I become what the person needs, and I reach them where, like police and other specialists can't fucking get anywhere near them, and they just make things a lot worse. But then I have this thing, like, I don't know. Financially, a lot of work fell through, as well as all this other stuff happened that cost me, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then all this other work fell through, and just haven't been able to pick it back up again. And there's a lot there with the economy having changed, but then there's also, there's always money flowing around. So it's like the presentation of oneself with demeanor and all of that. There's so much that comes into it all, and that's been the point of sort of looking messy and doing all this kind of stuff, because, like, I can walk through any door still like this. I can just be, it's not about that. It's about what you carry inside yourself and what you carry on the outside of yourself. The way that you physically look. Certain clothing is important, so you can walk through certain doors, but not necessarily. It's about what you carry as your integrity in your energy field, and particularly with this casualized stance of dress. Like, I walk through any door like this. It's about something that I had that is becoming so much more comprehensive, about being smooth and loving and charismatic and endearing and palatable to people. It's about something that can bridge all kinds of gaps, the same as music can bridge all kinds of gaps. Music is the bridge between heaven and earth. And it's the same kind of thing in this. It's like the drama and the performance, the expression, the art. See, it's artifice, but it's real. And that's the quantum physics paradox that is there with that. And it's paradigms. And it's creating space so that the paradox can flow out, but it's the paradox that creates the space. And it's like ballast. I have the ballast in me so that I can't be drawn down by anyone else's heaviness. I'm my own ballast, so I control where I swing back to. I keep that control over myself, and I have that composure there, you see. And this is the thing I'm talking about, that everything that I've ever had to walk away from and not fight has indeed given me a particular power that I've felt to be frustratingly useless. Like, I could just take, no, you can't do that. That's not what I want. That's not why I resonate. It's not why I train. It's not why I exist. It's not why I have the ability to hold that power, because it's my healing power as well, you see. And so what we get is a very powerful transmutation, metamorphosis, and practical application in real time, where one can watch oneself watch oneself. So that's consciousness, consciously observe oneself. This is the paradox that gives the quantum physics of which came first, the chicken or the egg. So you're feeling something from another person before they're experiencing it. So you know what their experience is, so you can alter yourself to be more palatable for that person, or you can reach that person more comprehensively. And so you can achieve what you want to achieve. And what do I want to achieve is is this world peace, consensus, community, love, connection, right? So an appreciation of art and beauty, acceptance, welcoming, thriving. Want everyone to thrive, yeah. And out of all things in my life that I've trained, and when I train very sincerely. It's the only thing. And I think that scares the shit out of people sometimes, because I just turn up with such a full-on intense person. It's this, out of all things, this is the most valuable thing it's really given me something. I mean, Kung Fu has gotten me through so much, and then everything else that I've trained has been centered around the Kung Fu. But this is really, it's a thing like, I don't know, I haven't been going to Kung Fu. I haven't been going to Kung Fu for a few years. Haven't had money, but I keep training. But I went to train 4 hours a day before I'd stand in front of my Sifu. And I was at that level, but I injured myself, and then I got a bit sick, and then I just haven't gotten back up to that level. Whatever it is, I just can't seem to get back up to that level of training 4 hours a day, every day. I don't really know why. Then we got this other thing that I've started, where I would train this 4 hours a day every day, but training's not available every day. It's only available on Sunday nights. So it gives this other look at it, you see. And again, this is quantum physics, and this is paradox, and this is how creation becomes congruent, basically. So I think at this point, like, if anyone does actually watch this, then you can be, if you're a creative person that feels like you don't really have a place in this world, well, you do. You got to make it up yourself. But you can find discipline in the old ways. Anything that's an old way that has discipline, has structure, whether it's carpentry or calligraphy or flower arranging or gardening or race car driving, video games, roller skating, archery, martial arts. This is where I'm kind of going. Like, there's a book, Zen and the Art of Archery, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. These are the kind of things I like, where I'm going. This is why I'm doing this documenting kind of thing, because I know that I won't remember it. You don't remember these transformations. You don't remember where you're at. So where I was at 6 weeks ago is somewhere that I was happy with myself compared to where I had been at. And this is a big thing about why I do what I do, is because I'm always coming from a place of having not been in a very good place. So I'm always got this uplifting, renewing, thriving, regenerating, I'm going to bounce back kind of energy that I'm sharing. That's contagious, like a smile, or like a yawn, or like a heavy energy is contagious. And I'm bringing this uplifting, I'm bouncing back, vibrant kind of energy is what I'm bringing with me. So that's what we can share. That's what I'm cultivating. And it's not easy being a creative person. I haven't really thought of myself as a creative person, because I felt so stifled. I felt so unaccepted. I felt so out of place. I felt so inappropriate. I felt so confronting. I felt so abrasive. And it's like the more palatable I try to become, the more abrasive I become. But then when you stop caring, you stop giving a fuck, then suddenly people seem to accept you. Or when you become resigned to the world just being as it is, and no one caring, and there's no hope and all of that, then suddenly you seem to be valued and accepted. Suddenly people want you around. Suddenly people need your uplifting sense of humor kind of vibe. Suddenly people feel grateful for you. But like, I do a lot of stuff that is relevant here like, I've done a lot of creative stuff that has not been seen by anyone. So it's very clear where I get my energy from to do this creative stuff is simply for myself, my own self, my own creativity. And so I've created a lot of stuff that I put up here, just on this platform, on this channel here, that has never been viewed. And I kind of like that, because it means what I'm doing, I'm keeping pure and authentic for as long as possible. Because if I suddenly became very successful, and I got a feeling once Bush Jim gets uncovered, then he's going to become very popular. And I had something that I feel like I lost. Like I used to be able to ring up radio stations and just be like this incredibly endearing, this crazy way out person. So politically incorrect, but he's just so endearing because it's said to me that Bush Jim sees the world through such beautiful eyes. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. If you're a creative and you're out there and you're having a struggle, then just create a character, create a personality, create a demeanor that you see the world through such beautiful eyes, even though the world's so obviously and clearly fucked up. You see, that's what this is about, is the word obviously only arises because of the ideas that preceding it, you see. So Bush Jim is about obviously, and he's got all these ideas that are preceding everything that are obviously the other way, like my hand was, they're obviously the other way to what things actually are apparently being, like on the news, or what people's mindsets are and things like that. He's sort of able to just become, I can't think this way now, but when I become Bush Jim, then I think in a particular way and can interact that you're just constantly taking things the wrong way and misinterpreting things, but making something incredibly funny out of it and just showing that you've got such a great attitude towards life and people and everything like that, as though you somehow have never been burnt by life ever. Even though obviously I know a fair bit about life and talking about things, but it's like I've somehow managed to get through life and know all this stuff about the world, but I haven't been burnt by life, or I've regenerated myself, and I've refilled my heart in such a way as though you have to wonder whether I have ever been burnt by life. But then it's like, obviously I've been burnt by life. I've been scarred by life pretty hard, and that's why I do what I do, because I am regenerating myself. But this training that I'm doing with John and Jackie, it's comprehensive in its paradoxical form, that it's giving me all kinds of avenues. Like, it's giving me a multitude of different ways that I might decide to think. I'll go this way, or 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 this way, do whatever, and just play with it like that. So as I'm undoing myself, I'm recreating myself on this whole different level, which is, this is quantum physics, like you practice. This is I'm going bit by bit by bit. Practice, and then you suddenly just wake up one day, and you feel like you're not getting it as well. This is on kung fu, but you just practice. You get these achievements bit by bit, incremental achievement, right? And then you get to a point where suddenly you're really good at something. And there's no way you can measure how you got to that point. You're just there suddenly. That's quantum leap. So it's a complete reorganization on a whole new, more evolved and sophisticated, more intelligent, more efficient level. And that's what happens inside the corpus callosum, inside the brain, inside the nervous system, inside the vascular system, inside the musculoskeletal system, inside the whole nervous system, inside the entire being. And that's what happens in one's whole spirit and one's being and one's life. It's monumentally powerful. And like all things like this, there's 3 people in a city of 2 million people. There's 3 people in the class with me. 3 other people. And the other thing is these guys don't charge because I got no money. So it's just doing something for my soul, because I do all this stuff out there. Like, I'm not making any money. I didn't make a cent last week, but I did all this stuff for other people. And it's like finally something coming back, that I can participate in something and it's not exclusive because I don't have money. Oh man, like it just means so much to me. It really does. But yeah, so it's been 6 sessions now out of 7 weeks, I believe. And I felt bad that I wasn't getting it documented, that I wasn't recording something and getting it down. I suppose this can be enough. I thought I'd just do like a few shorter ones, but we're up to 41 minutes here now, so it's about becoming sensitive. I'm a lot more sensitive to people. Like, I literally sense people say something, and then I sense their stress, because then they realize what they've said, and that's going to actually be a stress for them. And so then I am able to go, oh well, I think that's going to be a stress, so maybe we shouldn't do it that way. And they're like, oh, thank fuck, you know, because so that's very valuable in itself. I suppose feeling more masculine, maybe. I don't know where I say that from. I think it's just some of the dance. Yeah, I think there is that, because it's about being vulnerable, and a lot of this is based in ballet and stuff. And ballet is actually very masculine. It looks very punsy, but it's very masculine. And then I do a lot of stuff that looks really punsy only because I got that masculine ability to do it. So a plane coming over. But what I might do to wrap it up here, and we'll call this one at the summary reflection point after 6 training sessions over 7 weeks. What is that bloody noise? I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. That noise is very distracting. So I feel like, and this is part of it, this is just part of what we're doing here. I'll try and get away from it a bit. I feel like, you know, in times like even yesterday, where I felt that I had a lot of heaviness, a lot of lack of creativity. I was lacking creativity. I was lacking a light-hearted feeling myself. Then I was on a particular process in my own mind. I felt like I had a myriad of skills, of extra skills. I felt like I had a whole bag extra skills that what I would have had 6 weeks ago. To turn that around, and I've been doing a lot with this. I've been working a lot with this, so I do have a lot of skills. I have a lot of ability. You can reflect back to the Bush Australian Gym from the last few months. You're seeing how I turn something around into something else in real time. I've got that ability, but now I feel as though I have so much more ability. I feel like I can connect with art so much more. You know, I feel so valued. Like I have this training, and then I have access to these genius masters during the week where we just have a chat, and I help them build their film set a bit and just hang out, and they accept me. And we have these really interesting conversations that it's incredibly profound stuff, and I'm so grateful for it. So I feel like I've got a lot more oomph and integrity in my spirit, like that what I'm demonstrating there. Here, I certainly got a lot more control all up here. Like, that's certainly something that John has given me. I got that 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I seriously got control over my body. That's a massive thing. And I've got a lot of teachers in the past that haven't really they've been teaching me that, and I couldn't get it because I was so caught up in my martial arts. So I want you all to know I got that now. Thank you all for giving me that. I understand what each of you are saying. And it's got to be because John's doing this to me as I'm doing this. Oh, splendor of sunbursts breaking forth this day, whereon I lay my hands once more on Helen, my wife. And yet it is not so much as men think, for the woman's sake I came to Troy. But against that guest proved treacherous, who like a robber carried the woman from my house. See, it's all that here. I couldn't do this. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't do this. Couldn't do it. Look what I've been able to develop. I couldn't do this. This is, I go. So that normally had to be here. That energy there was what was controlling. Now I've got it all there. So thanks, John. So I've noticed that with my voice and my singing as well. And actually that speech is a warm-up. You don't need to warm your voice up for singing. If you do that speech and you got your whole thing, if you do it sitting as well and balancing yourself and just like legs up in the air, just sitting on the sitting bones, and balancing and then doing that speech, that warms your entire body up. So you don't need to warm my voice up. So I'm starting to feel like I am good enough to go busking. Starting to consider thinking about how to look into that, to even go and get licenses and stuff, so I can go and rock up to places where there is a high turnover and actually have a license and a permit to be there, and make a few $100s, because I know I have some friends that go out there and they do make a few $100s. Some of them make there's 3 of them that they're not together and they're overseas and stuff now, but they would make $1,200 in like 4 hours. 3 of them. They play really good. I can't play music that good, but they would. That's $400 each. I was starting to feel like I could turn up somewhere and play for an hour and a half, or play for 3 hours and make a few $100s and be happy and give it something good. There's another thing, I feel like the music that I've been doing, I've been actually sending music to people. I feel like that's actually one of the greatest gifts I can give to people at the moment in what is a heavy time, shadow time, etc. like that. But for dealing with shadow self and dealing with heaviness, as a professional, I just go and deal with that. I've got a multitude of different caps I can put on to go and be that person depending on the situation. I just become that. That's just me. But when it's as close, personal, so it's like with my children or with lovers or with friends that are close, that know me, then now I feel like I actually have some more skills than what I did have a few weeks ago to transmute whatever heaviness or upset might be there and transform it into something else. Much better than what I used to be able to do. So that's a really powerful thing. And there's a lot of other stuff going on like that, but I think that's probably a good point to measure. I feel like now at this point I can go and deal with anything in life, or even with people closer to me, and I just have a much lighter energy, a much lighter spirit, and I have a multitude more tools available to me that I can just whip out and start playing with. I can start being this, start doing that. And I have all these skills and exercises that I can start doing. And that by themselves, you have a kid throwing a tantrum in the shopping center and just start doing the stomp. Or start doing these different exercises. I can't remember all the names of them, but this is the thing. It just breaks everything up. It's because what you're doing is compelling. And yeah. This is something I've always done, and I suppose I've felt like not doing it so much in recent years, and now I'm starting to bring it back that I will be doing it, and I make people laugh, because a lot of the stuff I do is like I'm sort of so askew and it's not really happening, but it's happening. You can't help but notice. You're not looking, but you can't help but look, and then suddenly it all stacks up, and then people are sitting there eating dinner and across the street from me behind glass wall, and then suddenly they're spitting their dinner out because they're pissing themselves laughing at me, but they're not noticing me because it wouldn't be appropriate to be looking. See, I know, I just don't know why that sort of just died in me one time. It's like a flame just suddenly got extinguished. So I don't feel like that's ignited again yet, but I feel like it will soon be. So look out for that. That's enough for now. Uru.